Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, July 15th, 2024, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Reed.
Councilor Reed is excused this evening.
Councilor Hussman.
Here.
Councilor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Starr.
Here.
Councilor Duran.
Here.
Councilor Cross.
Councilor Cross is excused. Thank you very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We don't have anything under special orders of business tonight, so we will be going to committee reports. And Lisa Sajeka, you are here for Parks.
Okay, this is on. We're all good. Hi, Lisa Sajeka, Vice Chair of Keizer's Parks Board and a resident of Keizer. We had our Parks meeting last Tuesday. It was a great meeting. I didn't bring my piece of paper in here because you guys were going to get lucky and get Matt Lawyer tonight, but I tripped it and wouldn't let him come so I could give the report because, you know, I like talking to y'all. So it was great. We had one interested citizen who is very interested, and she came and talked about the community cafe that's going to be here at Keizer Community Center in the Iris Room on September 3rd.
Okay.
I could hear you. No, it's okay. All right. So then after that, we went to parks reports. Our parks look good. We've got good parks. We've got good park staff. We've got good public works staff. There were no complaints. You know, there have been some issues again with tagging, but again, they're always taken care of almost immediately. In the heat, we were worried about some of the staff having to work too hard or too late with the heat dome, and you know, everything's good. People were coming in early, they were leaving early if they had vacation. I mean, it was very, very good. I saw, and Matt saw, and even Gwen has seen piles of briquettes in many of our parks. I, of course, did not put two and two together. I thought people were putting a little pile of briquettes on the ground and lighting them as like a warming fire. But Matt has seen people taking their little tiny charcoal barbecue at the park to have their parties. That's not allowed. Fires are not allowed in the parks. I think Claggett Creek is the only park that has a place for you to do, you know, those. I don't know that it's allowed, but I know that they at least had them. So after they would use their briquettes to cook, they would dump the briquettes out on the brown grass by the sand volleyball courts or in places in the woods, which is becoming more and more dry. So that was a huge concern. I was beside myself with joy because Austin was working on widening the path down to the river in Palmacia Park. That had been done by a Boy Scout, and it had started to kind of slide, and there were gullies, and it was overgrown. And they took some equipment down there and made it wide enough so that Keizer Fire can get their ATV down there if there's ever another incident with potential fire. He's put that jute cloth on the bank to keep it from eroding more. It's beautiful. If any of you get a chance to go to Palmacia, it's nice. You can walk all the way down to the river, and it's an easy walk down to the river. It's not even challenging anymore. Ryan J. Hill Memorial Monument, we talked about that. The Gold Star Memorial Monument. Tanya thought that taking out the I don't dare call it a water feature. It was supposed to be a water feature but it doesn't, yeah. No water. Taking that out and putting that monument there would be a great place to explore because it already has electricity to it, because that water feature already had electricity. And let me look at this real quick. Oh, the turf fields update. Last time I was out there, the turf has been laid on the field that's closest to the east. And I don't know, have they laid the turf on the one that's to the west yet, or are they getting ready to?
They started today.
Okay, so that's going gangbusters. People are wondering about the pickleball courts. They're excited about pickleball courts. And, let's see. We decided to cancel our November meeting because the Long Range Planning Task Force is meeting that same night at that same time in the same place. So it's harder to have a meeting that way. And we are just really, really anxious to get word to the Gold Star Memorial people that they have a dedicated place so that they can start raising money, because they have to have the fact that it's locked in before they can start raising money. So other than that,
So a question on that, and it's a process question to Mr. Brown and Mr. Lawyer. What needs to happen for next steps to have an agreement with the Gold Star Memorial Organization for siting that at Ryan J. Hill Park?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe just the support of the council for the location, and we can carry that message forward to the family and the Gold Star Memorial folks about what they need from us next. I don't know that there's anything official necessary, not that I've been told at this point. But Ms. Chica brought up what I was going to mention tonight, and that is that the Parks Board, staff recommended to the Parks Board and Park Board supports placing it where the tree and the old water feature, still technically a water feature that doesn't function, where it is in Keizer Rapids Park, and that's the area of the park that's closer to Keizer Permanente than Panera. It's on the open concrete area, so. As far as I know, we just need to let them know we have a place, secured place that the council and the staff support, and we can move forward.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, so my recollection is that with the approval of the city council, they will begin fundraising for it, which is the critical path.
So walk it on tonight during other business? Mr. Lindsay?
Yes, and because I know sometimes, and I don't know this particular requirement, but sometimes requirements will say upon like a resolution of the council. So if we figure out that in the fundraising efforts that there needs to be a resolution, we could bring it back to you as well. But I believe now you could just vote to or take the recommendation of the Parks Board for the location.
Was there something additional? I think it was from the Parks Board confirming the location, and that was what was discussed at the Parks Board. I was the council liaison at that meeting. Councilor Kohler was away, and that was the discussion at the Parks Board, was to go ahead and recommend the location that was recommended by staff.
yeah, it's an ideal
To replace
spot.
the derelict fountain and remove the tree that needs to be removed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll walk that on during other business. Okay, all right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't have anybody else signed up for a committee report. Is there anyone else here before I go to public comment? All right. Let's go then to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on this agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have no public hearings this evening, so we will proceed first to acknowledge written public comment that has been received, and we have two. One from Carolyn Parsons, resident of Keizer, on illegal fireworks, and Tammy Kunz, resident of Keizer, on traffic calming. So those two are entered into the record with their comments. On the one with Ms. Parsons on illegal fireworks, I did respond to let her know that indeed the city council had passed an ordinance in 2022 regarding fireworks use in general and the time, manner, and place. And that's the one we're working off of now. And the information that she sent regarding the illegal fireworks, they are illegal, and they are ones that our police now can enforce our ordinance on curbing that activity as well. So thank you to her for bringing that to our attention. I'm going to keep that, and with that, I will go in no particular order. I'll call Mr. Bill George up, and if you would just give your name, your city of residence, and you have 5 minutes to share with us.
Okay.
And just pull out the microphone to you, because have a seat. And if you pull up the microphone, that way it could be broadcast.
Okay.
All right.
My name is Bill George, and I live in Keizer, Oregon. I just want to start out, thank you all for being here. I appreciate that. I'm not a very good speaker, but I'll try my best.
You're fine.
The first thing I want to say, I'm getting a little nervous here, but you guys have done a beautiful job with Keizer Rapids Park. I mean, I never expected it to turn out the way it did. I mean, it's beyond what I would expect. It was fabulous. The only downside to it, and that's why I'm here tonight, is that we have a parking issue, a major parking issue. They went through and restriped the boat parking area about 2.5, 3 weeks ago for boat trailers only. And they did that in the morning. I came back in the afternoon. The whole parking lot was full of cars, not boat trailer, just cars. I thought, well, why didn't somebody do something about that? And then talking to people said the city of Keizer police can't do anything about it. It has to be Marion County, which I don't know if that's true or not. So that was the issue there. And then what happens is that when the boat trailer parking lot fills up with parked cars that aren't supposed to be there and nobody does anything about it, they end up parking in the fields along the sides. And that's a potential for a fire. If you have catalytic defeater that gets hot, on your car and the grass is tall, which they keep it mowed down really good, so shouldn't be an issue. The other thing is that down on the dock, they have signs posted, no fishing, no swimming. Well, the fishing's okay now because they crossed that out. Somebody has. So you can fish down there.
Oh, okay.
So that's all you got to do is cross it out and it makes it legal, I think.
Oh, yeah. No.
So we were pulling out the other day and there were 4 people fishing there. I couldn't even hardly get my boat in because 4 people fishing off the dock. And about 3 or 4 weeks ago, my wife was holding the boat. Somebody jumped off the dock, didn't know how to swim. He went down, and luckily she was there and she threw a life vest to him, or throwable cushion actually, and basically saved his life. It wouldn't have happened if she hadn't been there. His buddies couldn't get him out because they jumped in and he was pulling him down under, trying to save him. And so they're swimming out the dock. And so my suggestion, for whatever it's worth, is they're always doing that, but nobody enforces it at all. I don't know if Marion County has to do it. You guys can't do it. I don't know. But maybe it's different dock for fishing and for swimming. I mean, just a thought, something I thought about. The doggy park area is full of cars on certain times when the weather's really mild and people are using doggy park. There's no parking hardly because people are using that to park in. So I think we have a parking issue in the park. The other thing, what was I going to bring up? She mentioned Palmacia Park. Is that the one that's on the end of Cummings?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any way to effectively tell people that they've reached the end of the park when they're walking in the park? Because it dead ends into private property.
There's a fence.
Oh, there is a fence all the way down the river?
On the 2 sides.
Okay, well, that's good. I didn't know. I've had people walk into my backyard from there, and so I was just curious.
I'll wave next time.
Okay. Anyway, that's basically all I had to say. I just want to say that the park is beautiful. It's very, very gorgeous. And you guys have done a fabulous job at it. But the parking issue, somebody's got to do something about it because it's not going to get any better. And there needs to be some enforcement on the parking. But I don't know who can write a ticket. I know if you go in Salem, I've been to Salem before, and you'll see cars parked in the boat trailer parking only, and there'll be tickets lined up on all the cars.
So, thank you for that. If it's okay, I'm gonna go turn to, Chief and to Mr. Lawyer, talk about the boat parking, then we'll talk about parking in general.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council, and thank you for coming in tonight.
You bet.
The police department has zero to do with striping that parking lot. So we don't do anything with that. We can enforce, we have nothing to do with, sorry, with having it striped with the boat ramp and the boat, mark.
Been that way
we don't-
since day one.
We didn't have it striped that way, so, but we can work on enforcing. And I'll be honest with you, this is the first issue I've heard from anybody in the entire city about the fishing and the swimming recently, and the boat parking as well, so.
Come down on
that's-
Saturday or Sunday.
Knowledge is power, so now that we have some information, we can do something with it.
Thank you. Mr. Lawyer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We did have the parking lot restriped recently so that it was obvious what parking spots were for boat trailers. And I was down at the park on Saturday evening, and all the parking spots were full of cars. There was not one boat down there. So it is an issue. I don't think it's a new issue. I just think it's an issue, and as the weather's been nicer and warmer, more people on the river, compounds the problem. In terms of the sign being altered to allow fishing, it's a daily battle, honestly. We can replace the sign, fix the sign, put it back, and within 2 days, somebody has altered it again. So it's an ongoing battle. I really don't know what the answer is. Enforcement wouldn't hurt. I don't think enforcement is the solution, honestly. And then in terms of the idea of an additional dock for swimming and fishing, honestly, that's something that's never occurred to me, but I can certainly reach out to the Marine Board and see what they have to say about that kind of an addition in that location, since they are the ones that provided the funding for the boating facility and designed it and wanted it there. I can get some input from them on what they see as potential or possibilities for additional docks for fishing and swimming. So be happy to do that.
All right, thank you very much. So it sounds like there'll be follow-up on both of those and coordination on what education and, when necessary, enforcement looks like.
One more thing.
Yes.
On that sign, I believe if you raised it up about 5 or 6 feet taller where they couldn't reach it, that might help 80% of it. They're still gonna have people that, screw with the sign, but if it was higher up where they couldn't just scratch out the no fishing, that would help. I mean, you're still gonna have the people that do it.
That's a good suggestion. That's another thing that I need to run by the Marine Board, because they designed the sign, in fact, provided the initial signs.
Yeah.
Those are their rules that we adopted in our park rules. But I'll talk to them about any other options for getting it up higher based on their designs too. So, good idea.
And then the doggy park area where, I don't use the doggy park area, but I feel sorry for the people who want to park there. And it says dog park only in that area. It's full of cars that are walking over to the amphitheater and to other places. So I don't know, you can do anything about that, but I think we have a parking problem. I
Well,
really do.
thank you for mentioning that, because we have parking coming.
Oh, yay.
Mr. Brown, do you want to talk about the turf field parking?
Well, yes, there'll be parking for the turf fields off of Shimawa Road, but also there will be additional parking for the pickleball courts. That'll be just parallel to the ones for the dog courts or the dog parks. So there'll be some more on the way, but our long range plan also calls for more parking on the other side of Walsh Way, on the east side. So
That would make sense to have something down by the boat ramp in that area where I feel sorry for the cars that use the boat spots because they've only got probably 15 to 20 spots there and they're instantly filled up. So, there's not enough parking. So, that's all I have, sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing this to us. We really appreciate it. And you
Okay.
brought solutions and helped us understand what the problem is. So thank you.
You're welcome.
This is very
Thank you.
important. Counselor Kohler has a question for you.
Oh.
Actually, not necessarily for you, but thank you for coming. Mr. Lawyer, is it not true that the Marine Board did provide a lot of the parking that's down there by the dock now?
All of it. That's all part
All
of
of
the
it.
boating facility. Yes, that was all part of that, when that was constructed. When the boat ramp was built, that parking lot was built to serve the boat ramp. And intended only for the marine facility or the boat ramp. We know that other park users use it, but because of the funding and the way that was constructed, we will not and do not reserve that area of parking for anything. It is for the boat ramp only, so.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Next up is Tammy Kunz, Kennedy Neighborhood Family Council. Fun Fridays, this Friday.
Uh-huh. Okay, I don't like that thing. All right, Tammy Kunz, Keizer. Is my light on? Yep. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, pull it up a little closer. Thank you.
All right, so everybody should have a flyer. Fun Friday this week. We're looking for volunteers to help get everything set up. We got a couple of big tents and whatnot that we're looking to do, and a bunch of barbecue and a whole bunch of games and stuff to go on. We have 41 community partners. We'll be serving 700 and something hot dogs and 600 and something hamburgers, so come hungry. Bring your families, bring your neighbor, and have fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any questions for this great event? We've been hearing a lot about it and looking forward to a wonderful night on Friday night. Thank you. Next up, this is very exciting for this second year of our partnership with EO. And I'd like to invite up Ed Davis and Chuck Ito to talk about our upcoming visit from students from EO, Japan.
Thank you, Mayor Clark and council members. I sit in front of the microphone because we don't allow Chuck to do that very often. Takes too long. I want to thank you for hearing us again. We had a great visit last year with 14 middle school kids. This year, we're scheduled to come out on the 26th and meet here in the council chambers again. They come in on the 21st, the evening of the 21st, and then on Thursday, the first day, we'll be out here again for class. We'll be then over at the police department, at the Heritage Center to see your new 100-year-old socks. And then off to the fire department for tours there on that Thursday. And then on Monday after the council meeting, I take it back, that's the Monday schedule. Thursday, we're off to Keizer Rapids Park for some of the same kind of events that we just heard talked about. We'll do some bicycle riding with Cycle Oregon. We'll get some disc golf out there, get some sand volleyball going on, and just let the kids have a great time in the park. The other days, we'll be meeting up in the Capitol Room at the Y, and then walking from there to like the Capitol, Willamette University, and some of the other local downtown sites for them to visit. So we appreciate your support in the past. We have again offered our support to kind of help keep the sister city discussions and negotiations going. I know they've requested a lot of information, which we'll try to help you put together. So unless you have questions, that's our pitch.
All right, thank you. Questions for Mr. Davis and Mr. Ito?
Okay? Great.
No,
You're all invited Saturday night of that weekend to the rec for pizza and bowling and some really amateur karaoke.
Really appreciate their offering to host this once again. Looking forward to the students, and I believe the school superintendent will be coming over as well.
Yes, and we're hoping that we can meet with her and Principal Rhonda Rouse at CTEC and kind of show off our local Salem Keizer CTEC program.
Yeah, I know they were very interested in that last year as well, so it's a great opportunity
Yeah.
to show what we're doing with career technical education.
Yeah.
Counselor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We so much appreciate having the group come over. Last year, we had them come to the Keizer Community Dinner, which we welcome you again on the 24th if you'd like to come.
Oh, okay, good to know. Thank you.
And they're here in time for the state fair as well, so hopefully they'll be able to go with their host families and enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. And we may or may not see you there on the opening day.
Yeah. I do have a show
see.
that day. yeah.
Anyway, thank you. Oh, and the formal reception is the Tuesday, the 27th, at the Convention Center.
You're all welcome to join us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for bringing this program to Keizer and this opportunity to work toward a sister city relationship with EO Japan, and I look forward to continuing that moving forward.
Good. And I won't repeat my compliments from last year, but I haven't changed my mind.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. There. And next up, we have Lord Christopher for Art Fair and Museum. Are these both with it?
I think so.
Okay,
I think that's what I understood.
okay. These just, well, she'll tell us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Councilors, City Staff. I am here tonight to talk about the Wallace House poster that is located in the corner on the other side of that wall right there, as close as you can get to the door that we never use. And I can't remember, I believe it was a neighborhood association, the neighborhood association that's adjacent to Wallace Park, that created that poster. It's a dynamite poster. It's not really art, albeit KPAC tried to make it art as we framed it and thought, well, let's at least make it look arty. But really, it's a museum piece. And so that's what I'm here to talk to you about. It's a terrific timeline on what happened and the significance of Wallace House. So I talked with City Manager Brown, and he said, you need to make a formal request to City Council. So I sent that today, I think I sent it from my Keizer Cultural Center email, and I think I may be in your spam. Regardless, you have it in front of you in hard copy, and it's not a rush, so there's the formal request for you, Adam. And I followed what we followed. I just followed the same template that we followed for the Oregon Historical Society when we got the, oh yeah.
The socks.
This is so much more impressive in person, isn't it? Because it's really big. Front page above the fold. You can't freaking imagine how much energy and comment this has generated for the museum and also for the socks. So we have had 2 calls that said, where do I get tickets to see the socks? We don't have the socks. We have not yet picked up the socks. We picked the socks up later this month. We wanted to do it after our annual celebration, which, thank you, by the way, Mayor, Councilor Kohler, Councilor Duran, for attending, and you can see all the changes that have been made to the museum. At any rate, we haven't picked it up yet, and we will at the end of the month, but we will not display them. And the reason we won't display them is because we can't just like set them on a shelf and say, unceremoniously, and say, well, here you go, here's the socks. They are part of a larger display that is the Keizer family display. And we embarked upon a project to reimagine and modernize the museum 10 months ago. And the project was planned out to be $30,000 to $40,000. A mentor that Robert Becker had secured for us from Oregon Parks and Rec Department helped us put together, for those of us who didn't yet speak museum, although Robert is working towards his certification in small museum management, which is free. And here's another fun fact. 90% of the museums are all volunteer run, 90%. Only the big fancy museums have paid staff. So you can never go to museum training and when they ask you to introduce yourself, you say, I am just a volunteer, or they kill you. And so, anyway, yeah, 90% of the museums are run by volunteers. So we thought it would be about $8,000 a year. That's grants, and we have a budget of $5,000. We thought we could do 8 times 5 is about $40,000. So we thought, okay, that'll work perfectly. And then these dang socks happened. And now this was supposed to be in our next year plan, which we won't have any money until January. And so we could start in January, and as Counselor Starr is aware, the grant cycle starts in October. And so we usually get the money March-ish. So that prolongs, we thought that would be just fine, that prolongs when we get the money and we can proceed with the next steps, which is the Thomas Duff Keizer, finishing the Thomas Duff Keizer display. However, we're hoping, this is part 2, not only do we hope that you will consider permanently donating to the museum the Wallace House poster, because we have a swell spot for it in the main room, which will be mounted on a log wall and have a donated full-size wolf skin hanging by it. And then we will have all of the different animals that were trapped in those early days. We will have boxes that you guess what the animal is, you pick it up and it'll tell you which animal it is and all about the animal. So it's a great spot, and it will get lots more attention than the poor thing. It's kind of like the Thomas Duff Keizer maquette that you had stuck in the corner. He gets lots of attention now. And so we will hope to do the same for the Wallace House poster. Second part of that is I spoke with Mr. Wood today to see if there would be transient occupancy taxes available should you want to be generous and give us some of those transient occupancy taxes to get the display done quicker so that we could get these socks up. Like folks are thinking they're there now. We would like to capitalize on the momentum that these socks have given our museum, because right now we're the most popular girl in town and our dance card is full. And so we'd like to get them out there as quickly as possible. If we had the funding to do that, we think we could do it by November. It'll take 90 days. We have to secure historic pictures in high resolution in order to reproduce those we have to enlarge them, and that requires high resolution. That'll be working with OHS to secure those photographs. In addition to that, it was just donated, the outfit that Jerry McGee left, so we have to get a mannequin, and then each of those columns will be wrapped with historic pictures, and those have to be high resolution. So Robert and I are going to make a trip to Portland next week to secure the socks and bring them home and put them in a safe place until they're able to be on display, and to start to gather the pictures that we're going to need to complete the Thomas Duff Keizer display. The cost for doing that is $2,735. New page, $2,735. In addition to that, we're hoping that you would provide us, well, okay, I'll just read all of it. $2,500, we have no promotional materials because absolutely everything has changed in the museum. So the promotional materials that were done, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago? I don't know. You know, Mayor? I don't know. It's all the old logo. Everything is yellow and green. So it's been a while. But that's okay. We did not want to do them until this time came when we had enough completed under the RAM project that we felt we could promote it. So with these darn socks, of course, they'll be on the front page of rack cards, but also tri-fold to bring folks in. We have nothing now. So that's $2,500 working with Andrew. Jackson, who has done all the stuff for the Cultural Center. In addition to that, so what I've done is I've listed the 5 projects that could be completed in the next 12 to 14 months if we had the funding to do so. And so if you give us the 9745, we think we can get all 5 of these done. But whatever you're able to give us, the priority, and I put them in priority order so you would know, is Thomas Dove Keizer for 2735, the promotional materials for 2500, and then the rest would just allow us to get a head start on the other 3. If not, we have new funding in January in our budget, so we can start to work on some of those in January. And that is the transparencies for the old Keizer School. Above, we have Mrs. Fulcrum's 1948 class mural behind the model of the old Keizer School. It's fabulous, isn't it, Kyle? It's so fun. You see these little faces and they're all smiling and loving school from 1948. The minute you walk in the door, there's a little boy that's right there welcoming you in. It's terrific. Above that, we're going to put the school move photographs. There are 3 of them. They'll be in 70% transparency so that it holds down the UV light coming through the windows. And then below that, we'll have the explanations of the move. To the left of that is the City of Keizer display. You have 2 walls, and there will be transparencies there as well. One is the flag, right there, the blue flag, and the explanation for how the flag came to be. The other one is the logo, which is the second one. You can see right there, and how the logo came to be. Those will be the transparencies on the west wall, which is really sunny. Those will be 70% transparencies as well. And then the descriptions of how those came to be will be below them. Okay. The last one is the log wall. And the log wall costs $500. That's just what the materials cost for faux log looking walls. And that's what the Wallace House sign would be placed on. And that's where all of the fur trapper, that's where that portion of the Keizer timeline, that's the wall that it would go on. So all of that could be done. We feel pretty confident in 12 to 14 months if we had the funding. If I have checked with Mr. Wood, who said, and also, we feel that transient occupancy taxes, which are exactly what this is all about. This is bringing visitors into Keizer for a specific reason. And so we think this blends really well with using transient occupancy taxes. Just to remind you, you have never given the museum not $1. We've never asked for it, and we weren't ready for it. And we've never asked to take the Wallace House poster because we had no place for it, we had no plan, we had no interactive displays, we had no technology, but all of that has changed. And so now we feel we can do us justice in portraying the Keizer story better than the poster stuck in the corner. And that's why we're asking you to, if you want to give us a long-term loan, that's fine, but I don't see it ever coming back here, quite frankly, because it really is a museum piece rather than an art piece. And if you feel like so I talked with Mr. Wood, and Mr. Wood said you've got about $75,000 in transient occupancy taxes that are in contingency. And even I realize that you have yet to fund a request for the Chamber of Commerce. I'm aware of that. But there'll still be enough money, if you want to fund this entire boost up for the museum, which is bringing us such, and if you guys haven't seen this, people handed me 2 copies of this. They saved it for us. So this is a big deal. And I think the biggest part of this is we've jumped the fence. So it's not just news in Keizer. Now it's news in the Salem, Keizer area and surrounding valleys. So that's going to bring a ton more attention to not only the museum, but the cultural center, but also to Keizer. This was a really positive thing to have happen to us. And so I hope you will give us the money. And I need to, one more thing. I need to know in 2 weeks. If we don't have, so that gives you time to think about it, but if we won't make it. We won't make, oh, I forgot to tell you. We want to do it in November because Thomas Dove Keizer and his wife Mary Gurley, you know, they were born on the same day in the same year. Their birthdays are in November. We thought we'd have a birthday party. And that's when we'll unveil the entire Thomas Dove Keizer and Keizer family display with the socks and the whole thing. And we'll invite you all and we'll bring the cupcakes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take this kind of one at a time. First, on the Wallace House poster, that was a KPIC project. That was Keizer Points of Interest.
I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
We made 2 copies of it. One is at the park itself.
Oh,
So that is on display at the Wallace House Park, and that is the kiosk that, as you enter the park, the
Okay.
side of the park that has the playground, that's where the other one is. So we made 2 just in case. So that's why we have 2.
Terrific.
And it was been on display here ever since. We wanted to make sure that we captured part of our history here in the in our living room area. So that's why it's on display. So it is
I think that was
KPIC.
appropriate at the time, and we really didn't have a more appropriate location, but I think we do now.
So, but that's the history of that piece.
Thank you.
I don't know that we copied all of the kiosks that we've done as Keizer Points of Interest, but that one in particular, I remember we did 2 on purpose.
Great.
So that's why that one exists. So that would be a conversation for city council to consider an agreement to whether to grant or to loan it over to the Keizer Heritage Museum. So we'll need to have a conversation about that. And what I would recommend is that we bring that up under other business to direct staff on the next steps. Everybody good with that? Okay, so we'll bring that up tonight under other business. Thank you, Council President Starr, for making a note to make sure we do that. On the supplemental budget request, I have one question. You mentioned there was a source of funding starting in January. Remind me of what you said that was.
It's our annual budget for the Keizer Heritage Foundation. The Keizer Heritage Foundation allocates $5,000 a year to the museum. So we have used all of that $5,000 this year. And the $3,000 grant that we got, and the $500 in donation. So we've used $8,500 this year, so we're penniless until January.
So Keizer Heritage, the foundation itself.
Correct.
Okay. And then the city, and thank you for pointing out that we've had conversations in the past about the city does the allocation in partnership with the Keizer Heritage Foundation, and that is for that whole nonprofit which oversees the building.
Correct.
And then the city of Keizer provides a 50% match for the operations
Correct.
of that building. So for folks who are listening going, well, no, we've done a lot of money over there, and that is true.
Yeah.
To the building, and
Correct.
then the ARPA allocations that we have done for the major improvements. So just kind of clearing up in case people are listening going, what? So I'm looking at the calendar and you're asking for the timeline that you've given us is based on the November event that you're planning, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then one more question, and I'll open it up. The socks themselves, do they require any sort of special display or structure
They
in
do.
order to preserve them?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to follow specific rules in order for them to give them to us. And, it makes it sound, in this article, it makes us sound like, we were just really persistent. They were lovely to work with. Robert and I, I've told you before, we're in museum school now, because we didn't speak museum when we undertook the RAM project, but it was very important to both he and I that we wanted to make sure that this was a museum that was a professional museum, but not only a professional museum, a museum that told our story, that it wasn't just a collection of stuff, it told our story, so that when our kids went into that museum, they felt proud, because you guys, Thomas Dove was a dude. I mean, he did a lot. When he came here in 1844, he immediately became the first commander of the Oregon Rangers, which protected all of the settlers that came. And then that went on to be the Oregon National Guard. A year later, he was one of 8 people who was elected to the pre-provisional legislature for the pre-Oregon territory. They are the people that put together the first laws that eventually became the laws of the Oregon Territory and eventually some of the laws for the state of Oregon. He was a dude. We have a story to tell. And we have some really fun facts that we can tell about the family, but we have not been effective at doing that. And so we're in museum school to learn how to effectively tell that story. And so I've forgotten your question.
No, I was asking about the January funding, and I was asking about the timeline.
Yeah.
That kind of puts a rush on this if we're going to
It
meet that
does.
timeline. And that is something that we're going to have to decide.
You want to know about the socks. The socks are in a plexiglass case. It is not airtight, but it is a plexiglass museum case. The humidity and the temperature of the room have to be between variances, and they are. And with our upgrades that we got with Oregon Energy Trust, we can make sure, because we can read on our phones, that it's meeting the parameters required. The socks can be on display for 3 years, and then they have to be put away in a dark box and rested for 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Christopher. Just a couple of questions to make sure I understand the ask correctly. The 2735 that you're asking for, that's for the display case for the socks?
No, that finishes the Thomas Dove Keizer display. That finishes the wraps where eventually the socks will be placed.
So you already have the display case for the socks?
We do.
Okay.
We have the display case.
So how come you're not able to if you have the display case, how come you're not able to display them until you finish the wrap?
Because the museum committee, and I am part of that committee, and I feel strongly about this as well, we want to do the socks justice and tell the story like we want to tell the story. We didn't anticipate this. We would have rather waited until the display was completed so that we could then show them in the best light possible and tell the story behind it. And all of that requires additional printing to tell the story of the socks, but also to place it within the column that it's eventually going to go in and put the lighting on it. And we think because of all the attention the socks have been given, we're going to have special lighting on it. So all of that, we don't just want to set it on a table and say, there they are, those are the socks. We think that that would completely take away from a very dear story that belongs only to the city of Keizer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions, Counselor? Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your consideration. I have extra copies if you want to read it.
It was also posted online. A lot of us were able to download it. All right, thank you very much. Chief Blanco. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Good evening. I hope you can hear me okay.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I've got just some basic information. So I'll start off with my usual. So for the month of June, we had 604 calls. We're up about, we had 566 last year. So it's up a little bit, but not a whole lot. We had 6 fires, 488 EMS calls. We had 28 calls of service, 81 calls for fire alarms, CO2 or false alarms. And we, year to date, we are at 3,678. So that's the calls that we're at currently. So just a reminder, and I'll move along unless somebody has questions about the actual calls.
We're good.
All right, I'll move along. So just a reminder that the Defensible Space Grant is still valid. It's a Keizer, Almsville, Marion County grant. It's for any kind of defensible space around any structure in Keizer, Marion County. So the number for that is 503-588-6526. Marion County is managing that grant, so the call will go to them and then we'll coordinate if it's in Keizer. The July 9th car seat clinic was moved because of the heat for that day. So it is now going to be on July 23rd. So If you know of anyone who needs a car seat, they can call 971-707-0472. Make an appointment for that, and then it's generally at the fire station, kind of a drive-through thing we do through the app base. Something I failed to report last month was that we were co-host to the Oregon Volunteer Firefighter Association Conference. So that's volunteer firefighters from throughout the state that came to the Chemeketa College and just did training for Thursday through Sunday. So we co-hosted that. So they did wildland, they did rope rescue, they did vehicle extrication, they actually had live fires. Just a variety, and they also signed a contract with them, so they'll be at the Chemeketa for the next 2 years as a conference. So hopefully next year we can get some of our hotels some business and get involved with them. So there was approximately 300 individuals, and a lot of them brought their families to Keizer. So it was worked out pretty well. We were pretty happy with the way it came out. And I apologize for not getting. That was June 20th through the 23rd, to the 25th. We did receive a water tender from the State Fire Marshal's office, and we put that into service. So that is in service now. Currently, there are 10 wildland fires in the state of Oregon. The Pioneer, the Shoe Fly, Larch Creek, Bonita Road, RV Juniper, Falls, Upper Pine, Salt Creek, and Cow Valley. With that said, we are currently deployed at the Larch Fire, and we are deployed to Cow Valley Fire. We have one firefighter who is on the Oregon State Incident Command Team as a communications individual, so he's with them. And we also have a Type 3 engine and a crew of 3 at that fire. And we have one task force leader and 2 firefighters and a Type 6 engine at the Cow Valley Fire. So those are large fires that are going on right now in Oregon. So hopefully we can get those, help them get those under control to a point where those guys can be released and brought back to Keizer. Let's see what else I have here. If you're more interested in where the fires are, how large they are, which direction they're going, you can go to the osfminfo.org. That is the Oregon State Fire Marshal, info.org, and the maps are in there, information about the fires. Anything you want to know is on that website. It's a pretty good little website the state of Oregon puts out for that. We also participated in, let's see, I'm trying to find my notes here. I scan. In the Casa Hero Run, the Keizer Elementary Field Day, Cummings Elementary Field Day, Keizer Public Works Day. We co-hosted the OVFA, and then we also participated in the Southeast Keizer Community Center Carnival while all this was going on. And then we look forward to the Fun Friday. We're going to be there as well to help them with the egg drop. We're really hoping that some of those guys get back on time to do that, but we did give fair warning that that may not happen, and they're going to come up with something. But we're pretty confident that we'll be able to get that ladder truck out there to be able to do that. In regards to our community risk reduction program, we are still currently doing community data assessments and resource gathering. We have picked up a few resources. The crisis response team, we think we have one in place. We've shared it with the police department, so hopefully patrol and our guys as well, first in, can provide some of that information, some of those resources to be able to assist our community and members as far as anyone who's in crisis. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, unless someone has questions. I kind of raced through that very quickly.
Wow.
I thought I needed caffeine, but now I don't think I need caffeine.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Kohler?
Yes, Chief Joe, just one more clarification on the car seat clinic is what time?
It is...
I have the date, 7:23, but the time is?
July 23rd from 3 to 5:45. And they call and make an appointment, and they ask them questions like the size of the child, weight, some other questions that they go through, and then they provide them an appointment, and then they just show up, and then they have a team that puts them through the car seat clinic.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right.
That's Anne Marie, just so you know. She texted me real quick.
Perfect. All right, any other questions? Councilor Aspen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Chief Blanco, for the presentation. I had never seen the State Fire Marshal website before. This is really informative, so appreciate you giving that the shout out. Pursuant to Ms. Sajaka's comment, we have a propane grill at home, so I forget what happens, but do you mind just reminding the folks at home what happens when you do dump your used charcoal briquettes onto some dry grass?
Yeah, you generally want to do them basically like fireworks, is you want to have either a 5-gallon bucket with water in there, and then just put them in there. And then once they get to a certain point, you can just dump them on, and it becomes like a sludge, and they're pretty safe at that point. So anytime you're using either wood or briquettes, you generally want to put them in a 5-gallon bucket with water in them. That generally works the easiest, low cost, and then safe. Keep it away from your deck, move it out to the side, even if it's in that water. And then when you're done, dump them out.
Really appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you. I know you'll talk about July, since we're in the middle of July right now, but I understand the 4th of July was a busy night for you as well as for our police. And I just want to say thank you for the collaboration in keeping our communities safe as people enjoyed legal and sometimes a little too enthusiastic with illegal pyrotechnics. But we understand you handled some house fires that evening as well.
Yeah, that generally happens around this time of the year. Not only barbecue grills, but some of the fireworks themselves. And this is a good time just to remind individuals to be safe when they're handling them. Eye protection is always good. You know, you let your kids run around with that, but that stuff is extremely dangerous. So we support them having fun and all, but I can understand the difficulties of police have because those things, they pop up all over town. You can't be everywhere every second. So we support anything that they want to, we can help them with as far as the fireworks.
Well, we really appreciate the collaboration, especially these last couple of years as we've moved toward a better communication on time, manner, and place for the legal fireworks, and on the illegal, just don't.
Yep.
But thank you so much for that. Any
Thank
other questions for Chief Blanco? Thank you so much for coming each month and keeping us connected with our partners down the street here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you bet. We'll see you at the beginning of August.
Yep.
All right. That's everybody I've signed up for public comment. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the council? Ms. Christopher?
Mayor, I mentioned the art fair. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This will be the last opportunity before the art fair. The art fair is doing great. It's so much better than we expected. We have 31 art booths signed up, which we needed 30 to cover our expenses. The only expenses we have is security 24/7 for the art. So we can still take additional artists and their artwork. You have two requirements. You have to be an Oregon resident and an Oregon artist, and your work has to be original. And that's it. It's not juried. You get to come and try to sell your art to anyone who comes to the art fair, and we're going to take zero commission. This one's for the artists. And so we'll have feather signs all the way down to lead you like breadcrumbs to the southernmost section of the 12-foot walking path under those lovely cottonwood trees adjacent to the river, hence the Keizer Riverwalk Art Fair. We will use the boat ramp parking to get the artists and their art there, and then they have to move their cars onto the grass.
Thank you.
So we will not be in the boat ramp parking unless it's a handicapped artist. But we've still got time. We've got 2 more weeks, and we can accept you. So if you're an Oregon artist and you want to participate in this, it's a real event now. It's a real event. It's going to be great. So thank you so much for letting me do that.
You bet. All right. We will now move on to administrative action, and the first item of business is the Event Center fee waiver request from the Salem Keizer EO International Exchange Committee. And we heard just a short minute ago from Ed Davis and Chiquito, and I'll go to Mr. Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council, the Salem Keizer EO International Exchange Committee has requested use of the Event Center from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on August 22nd and August 26th for classroom type instruction for middle school students visiting from EO Japan. The use fee for the McNary room and audio visual equipment is estimated to be $365. The refundable security deposit is $300. Staffing costs for the room setup and support during the event are approximately $550. Staff recommends that the city council approve a waiver of the event center use fees of $365, but charge for the $300 refundable deposit. However, you have various options that you could choose as well. You could approve the waiver of the use fee and the refundable security deposit, or you could deny the waiver of both the use fee and the security deposit. And with that, I'd be free to address any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report or proposal? Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Wood, did they pay the deposit last year? Are they a functioning entity?
They did not pay the deposit last year.
So did we ask if they didn't pay it last year? Did we ask what their ability is this year?
I did not know.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Brown.
So last year, I was going to have them in this room, and our event center coordinator had rooms unused in the event center, so she went ahead and moved them over there. So last year, we didn't end up asking for an event fee because we never, an event waiver because we never anticipated using the event center.
So what did they apply for? Are they expecting to use this room again this year? I'm just trying to look for what the communication was with them, because there was no waiver last year and there was no deposit request from them because they weren't going to be in the event center. What are they expecting this year?
Yeah, and so I think Lily had them fill out a form this year, which is how you got it, right?
Okay.
That's correct, yes.
And thank you for bringing that up. And it is under A that they did request the waiver of the event center use fee. Under current situation 3A.
Right, but I'm talking about the deposit.
Correct.
So do they know that that's required? If, they didn't have to pay anything last year. Yeah.
Madam Mayor, City Council, they did fill out the application where it clearly outlines the deposit. So yes, they are aware that that is there.
Anything further? Okay.
No, I'm just not convinced they know about it, but okay.
Any other questions or comments? Council President Starr, do you want to put a motion on the table?
Yes. I move the city council approve a waiver of the event center use fee of $365 for the Salem Keizer EO International Exchange Committee event on August 22nd, 2024 and August 26th, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council approve a waiver of the event center use fee of $365 for the Salem Keizer EO International Exchange Committee event on August 22nd, 2024 and August 26th, 2024. Further discussion. So for clarification, this does not require the charge of the $300 refundable deposit. If there were any damages, of course, they would be responsible and would know that. And as I understand it, they will not be serving food. This would be for classroom use only. That's correct? Okay. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent as read and cross. That takes us to item 8B, which is the Keizer and Salem Keizer School District Whitaker Water Agreement. Mr. Brown?
Yes, Madam Mayor and council members, thank you. This item is the flagged every 5 years in August. It originates from a agreement that was done 20 years ago, and The agreement began negotiations in 2002 and 2003. So it was a partnership between what was then the Keizer Soccer Club and the McNary Youth Baseball, and the Salem Keizer School District and the city of Keizer. And the two athletic organizations put in about $80,000 of improvements into Whitaker's field and to make a playable surface for their clubs. And there ended up being two agreements as a result of that. One was between those clubs and the school district, which we actually were not able to locate, and the school wasn't able to locate either. We only find references to it. But the other agreement was with the city and the Salem Keizer School District, and that's the one where the city, because of the commitments made by the athletic groups, and the city said, well, we will provide water in kind to make sure that the grass, the turf is kept in good condition. So we've been providing water service for them for 20 years. Last year was the highest number at around $15,000. And over the past couple of years, the average is, I think I put it in here, around $12,000 or $13,000. Yeah, $12,280. So we have this flag to come up every 5 years and ask the question, is it something we still want to do? And I just got communication back today from Salem Keizer School District. I originally just wanted to put this out in front of you to get you to thinking about it, because you'd have to make a decision sometime in August before the term, which is August 26th. But I received a communication today from Salem Keizer School District, and they've decided to not continue the water agreement. So we will, with either party can discontinue it. And they are having, as well documented, they are having to raise their fees for their facilities, and they didn't want any inequity between one municipality and another municipality. So that was the logic that they gave for ending it.
So do I.
Happy to answer questions that I can.
Which you may or may not be able to, because this does go back. Just for, and I'll come to you in a moment, Council President Starr. I did call Mary Holt, Chris Holt's mom, talked to her about the fields and the establishment of the Chris Holt baseball field. He loved baseball, loved sports, and this was a collaboration between Keizer Rotary, the city, and donors and so forth to create that field. So it would be a space for our youth to be able to play baseball in Keizer, in addition to our Keizer Little League Park. So that was the intention there, and that it would be made available for our youth to be able to use that, knowing that the school district would not water it and maintain it, especially during the summer months, if the city did not provide water. So I do have additional background information that Ms. Holt did send to me today. She is not able to join us tonight because she is on a family trip, and she wasn't able to make it back, but she wanted me, and I will download and share that information with council, since not everybody was here in that time frame when that field was developed. With that, Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just making, forgive me if I don't choose my words well, but I'm curious if you know what the inequity is of the city providing $11,000 worth of free water.
Yeah.
I mean, I will stop there.
I'll read you the direct words, and if you can make sense of it, then more power to you. So it reads, perception is important to us, and the district doesn't want to appear to be charging youth sports for something donated by another municipality. We believe the most equitable decision would be for Salem Keizer Public Schools to pass on renewing this agreement.
Huh? I'm sorry, can you read that again?
Sure. Perception is important to us, and the district doesn't want to appear to be charging youth sports for something donated by another municipality. We believe the most equitable decision would be for Salem Keizer Public Schools to pass on renewing this agreement. So maybe I can give a little bit of clarification to that. In our communications back and forth, they said, well, what do you want to see? And I did communicate them that I'd hope that some type of credit would be given to their field fees for at least that site, since the city was contributing to $15,000 in water for it. So that is probably in response, her comments are in response to that exchange.
Follow-up?
Is there room for continued dialogue, or are we just done? Because if they were reading and, like, if that's a negotiable item, like, can we have further dialogue? I just think that's a huge loss to our community.
Yeah, I think if there was not, I think that's probably the sticking point to them, is trying to do some type of different fee because we're subsidizing it. If we didn't want that, they would probably not reject free water.
And keep it the same?
That would be our expectations, or maybe we would want to clarify that. If we do, we will expect to see it green and growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your thoughts are welcome to me, and I would be happy to take that back to their staff if we want to
Councilor
continue
Kohler?
that conversation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if I'm to understand that, they want to charge our organizations that use those fields a use fee, but they don't want to accept the donation of the water because that would be inequitable for other organizations, or they don't want to reduce the fee, so they want to just pay us for the water and then raise their fees? Is that kind of what it's saying?
Yes.
Wow.
Councilor Duran?
So it sounds to me like they're not wanting to adjust the fees for this facility.
Right.
They want to keep them all at a consistent across the school district. So that's what it sounds like to me. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out why not give the Keizer people a little bit of a break, because we're footing the bill. But they don't want it to be inequitable across the city, so.
Thank you. Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So do we start charging them for water now?
Yes, that if the agreement ends, then yes, they would get the bill for the water. Yep.
I think
Should. Thank you.
if they water. And that was the issue, is that one of the reasons that we entered into this conversation, Bill may remember better than I do, because this dates back a couple of years, 20, that the concern was that they would let them go brown and not take care of them during the off-season. Mr. Lawyer, what do you remember on this?
I remember that very concern. The school district policy in my tenure with the city has been, in the summer, we don't irrigate. We don't irrigate because we don't want to have to mow. In order for those soccer fields, or that field, okay, I'm going to qualify the statement to begin with, that field to be usable for a sports field, it needed to be leveled and irrigated so that it was smooth and green. That's where the dynamic came on, the partnership between Rotary, Keizer Soccer Club, Keizer Youth Baseball, City of Keizer, Salem Keizer School District, okay? Four-way partnership. That agreement was put together, the understanding was put together to build the fields, or not build the fields, rehabilitate the fields, install the irrigation, and provide water. And that worked great. As time has gone on, this agreement has it's fallen through the cracks. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Neither agency, the city or the school district, follow the dates close enough to know that in August of the 5th year of the agreement, you need to make a decision. If you don't make a decision and nothing is said, it automatically renews for another 5 years, okay? This time, it's gotten some attention. This renewal, it's gotten some attention. So I would expect, based on history, that if this agreement and the school district chooses to end the agreement and no longer receive free water at Whitaker, you will see a brown field in the summertime at Whitaker. Now, I can't guarantee that because I'm not the school district, but based on their operations, the rest of the district-wide in Keizer, I don't know what happens in Salem because I don't go to those schools, they don't irrigate. So.
That's a good follow-up question, is
It
what
was,
this
it
will
was a
do.
very good agreement at the time. It was served the sports communities very well. Things have changed in the last 20 years.
So now what to the sports groups?
And if I may, one more thing, in the original agreement, the Keizer Soccer Club and McNair Youth Baseball were not charged to use that facility. Their charge, if you will, was the development of the complex and some of the maintenance. They did, at one point, some of the mowing of that facility. I don't know if they still do or not. I really don't know. I don't think so. But that was all part of the deal originally, so.
And removing the gophers as well. I understand there was quite an effort to remove the underground wildlife.
It was, and we've seen the same thing in our park system in Keizer. Once you irrigate a space in the parks, the gophers, they don't like the wet ground. And they, not quickly, but they move on. They go find someplace else that's more to their liking. And the same thing happened at Whitaker.
So if watering were to stop, very likely they would move back in going, woohoo.
I would expect that.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I'm gonna go to Mr. Brown, and then I'll go to Councilor Hussman.
So, Madam Mayor and Council, the question about the sports teams is the school district still needs to provide a product that they're leasing out. And while it's only the soccer club, to my knowledge, that is still there. I don't believe the baseball diamond is used, although the backstop is still there. They, presumably have to provide a product that the soccer club wants to play on. But I don't know what alternatives the soccer club has. And I do appreciate Mr. Lawyer mentioning Rotary, because while they weren't officially part of the agreements that were signed, they were part of the donated labor and resources so they were an important part to making that deal happen.
Yeah. Councilor Hussman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're obviously not the school district board, so I feel like this board's hands are tied to some extent because we cannot do much but try to ascertain the logic of the school district with respect to their end of the deal. And the school district has made some confounding and illogical decisions of late. So I think that they made this one thinking that it would be short, quick, and easy for them. The use of the word equity is a little bit questionable in this point, because now they have a field, which I agree with Mr. Lawyer, will absolutely go brown in a heartbeat given the district's current limitations and considerations with respect to how it's been maintaining its facilities over the summer. The pressing question, I think, for the city is there's only a month left on the agreement, so can we really afford to make the school district feel bad about this, or do we want to mitigate a potential fire risk, which is, I think, what we're ultimately concerned about, that may ultimately impact, because they would hold other points of liability correct for anything that happened in the field. If someone tripped on a gopher hole, that's school district property, right? So that would be theirs, Mr. Brown?
Well, I'm sure they require the sports organizations to have their own liability insurance, but outside of that, yeah. And I should mention too, the deal between the city and the school district was that the city, the school district would make that property open to the public after the school activities and then the soccer club activities and the baseball activities. That was the agreement that the city made officially. Free water, parks open to the public. If you go back and look at the construction of how it all came together, and then you see how it was really these four different parties working together to make something cool happen.
And follow up. We're dealing with those two as separate points of consideration then. Public use and city paying for water.
Those are the exchanges in our agreement with the school. The separate agreement that I can't even tell if it was ever actually executed was that the school, or the soccer club and baseball club had the first right to the fields after the school activities.
Okay. Which, to Council President Starr's point, probably means that those organizations are lacking for options or luck at this point if the district has decided to whole cloth potentially exit from these agreements. So I'm not necessarily sure what to do about that. Madam Mayor, if I may conclude these remarks, I knew Chris Holt. He was the year below me in school, so he would have been class of 2007, I believe, through McNary. Chris Holt was great. Really enjoyed knowing him, and always puts a smile on my face to read his name and remember him. So even in a little bit of a contentious matter, it's good to shine a light on somebody who was good and was a good representative of Keizer. He definitely was proud to be from here.
Thank you. So as I understand it, our decision point is if we are continuing to provide water, those fields will remain in playable condition. If we don't, it sounds like those fields will not remain in playable condition. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's an assumption. Based on experience, but I mean, we're talking 20 years ago.
And also looking at the other schools in Keizer through the summer, they don't irrigate. I don't know how much they're used. See, that's the unknown for me. Claggett Middle School, I don't know if those fields are used for any organized sports at all during the summertime. Whitaker may be the only place. And, you know, there's potential that the school district recognizes the importance of that facility to the youth sports community and is willing to pay the bill. Maybe cut back on the watering some, maybe not water as much, but maybe alter their operations from what they do at Claggett Middle School, for instance. We simply don't know. My comments are just based on historical practice by the school district in Keizer in the summertime.
So I'm gonna follow up and then I'll go to Council President Starr. Is their sticking point is that we're asking for a different rate structure? Okay, so we're meeting of the minds here. Is that, if that is their sticking point, that we're asking for a different rate structure for our Keizer organizations in order to provide the water, then the decision point for the city council is if we are willing to continue this agreement to provide water, knowing that our local organizations will be charged, but we will then have a playable surface. Is that the decision point, in your opinion? Because that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, because we didn't.
Council President Starr?
We've never asked for a credit back to our sports well, I shouldn't say never, but in 20 years, have we asked for a credit? So that's the new thing this year.
Yep.
What prompted that? Just trying to help out our sports organizations, or where did it come from to, like, I don't know, upset that apple cart, so to speak, and tip this thing for them to say, nope, we're out? Was it, so that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, well, so the first thing is, if somebody had told me that I could get past Joe's legal assistant on this, then, I might have tried, but she didn't let me know that I could get by her. So she wouldn't let me drop the ball on actually communicating with Salem Keizer School District. And from my conversations with Director Lawyer, that the last time it came around, it really wasn't discussed. So that was one. We actually reached out and talked to them. The people that are there now, were not here 20 years, they didn't have the institutional knowledge that we had. In fact, Mr. Lawyer's file, I shared with them because they had nothing for it. So at least at the time I talked with them, they may have found something since, but as of the last time, they hadn't. The other thing was that I knew that their rates were going up, and they said, well, why are you bringing this up? And I said, well, first, it's just set to either renew or expire. But second, it seems fair that our local teams just at that facility, whatever athletic clubs, should be seeing some benefit for it. So if the council doesn't care about that and just wants to make sure that the fields stay as they are, then I can communicate that to them.
Follow up. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Did you talk to Mid-Valley Soccer and ask them what the price difference they were looking at with the rates going, like what they've been paying to rent those fields versus what they will pay with the new rates before we went to the school district and asked for this credit? Was there any conversation to understand what we were asking for versus the cost for the free water?
Yeah,
Just a lot to risk.
Yeah, the last time I talked with them, they didn't know the whole picture of the rate structure, because it was probably 2 months ago that I talked with the soccer hub. So they knew it was going up. They knew there was additional aspects that they were going to be charged for. I think they told me they were going to be charged for parking now, and that their rates per field were going up. Also at the high school field, but so yeah, they didn't know at that point. I think at this point now they probably do have a better idea of it.
When did we approach the school district?
It's been probably at least 2 months since we started communicating with them.
But
It was a little bit of a slow go.
So we started communicating with them roughly 2 months ago. We checked in with the soccer club 2 months ago, but so we still don't know what the difference is. Did we circle back with the soccer club to see because I think what I'm looking at is if it's an increase of, I just would like to know what the amount of the increase is, because if it's in the big picture negligible on the increase, and we're gonna risk losing that resource because we wanted a credit for them, I think what we don't know is we didn't know all the factors before this was a decided deal from the school district side.
Yeah, and I think if the city doesn't have any expectations, they would gladly continue to receive free water.
Oh, I'm sure they would.
Yeah,
But we should
I
have an
can
expectation that.
circle back, yeah, to your point, I can circle back with
Yeah.
and get the fee changes to get an idea of what amount they're talking about.
So what I hear here is we'll get that additional information and then a recommendation for an agenda item beginning of August for renewing this agreement and the terms for that renewal. With the option of we continue to provide the water so the facility is still there. Because it sounds like any sort of other contingencies the school district isn't really interested in moving forward. And I think that's our decision point is providing water so that we keep field. Is it one field or two, Mr. Lawyer? I don't remember.
Multiple.
Multiple.
It's multiple fields. I think there's a total of
Oh, that's right.
5
Okay, 5
fields
fields.
up there, full size. Well,
Yeah, full-size.
Full-size fields, which
I
can
know.
then be broken into multiple smaller fields.
Right.
Like some of the little kids, you can get 4 fields on one large-size field. So
Yeah,
there's-
I know,
there's-
I've seen Counselor Starr out there with her granddaughter, and they've got 14, 15 fields striped out, but all in total, it's probably 4 to 5 full-size fields.
Okay. I hadn't been there in probably a couple, 3 decades since my son played as a elementary, and that's been a while. So thank you for that reminder. So is there any additional information council will want for the agenda item in August?
Plan B.
Okay, I'm going to go Mr. Lindsay, and I'll go with Councilor Aspen.
Thank you. I just wanted to get a little clarification too. If you are moving forward, would you like us to entertain other ideas, perhaps not a 5-year? Because 5 years is a long one. And
I don't.
perhaps, you know, if they are going to be doing these fields themselves, maybe your donation can be half of the water. You know what I mean? So I don't know how much you want us to be creative in, you know, trying to maybe save a little money if they are going to be using those fields and utilizing them and charging the same rate that they do everybody in Salem Keizer proper. Maybe we want to be helpful, but maybe we want to kind of get a little bit of less donation going. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out if we're going to bring you back an agreement. Do you want to see it more like a 2-year and maybe with a little bit of cutback? I don't know. I'm just starting to ask those questions if you want to see it next up in early August here.
Follow up?
Follow up on this whole thing is, all I can see right now is the dollar signs increasing for our families to play soccer. And that's the thing that frustrates me is, again, who's getting penalized, right? It's our kids and our families. And so I have lots of ideas rolling around in my head. And I think for me, before any decisions are made, what I want to know is what is the total cost of the increase for the field rental going to be to the soccer club? Because if it's right around $15,000, I have some ideas about how we keep the costs down for our families. Like our families just can't take it anymore. And soccer, in my opinion, like keeping these activities affordable for families is one of the things that builds, protective factors and resilience in our kids. It builds grit, it builds all of the things. And so to start taking these things away because the school district doesn't want free water because of an equity issue, like we've got to have different conversations with, I don't know, is it the superintendent that made the decision? Did we have brainstorming, sessions to figure out how do we get to yes rather than just accepting no from them? Like, I know the school district's hurting for money. Everybody's hurting for money, including the families that probably got laid off that want their kids to play soccer. So for me, I have ideas in my head, but I want to know what the increase is going to be to our sports teams.
Thank you. And I'll go to Councilor Aspen. It sounds like also there's going to be an additional cost for all the sports teams with parking. That's a new cost.
And so include that in there too.
So we'll have to include that. Okay, Councilor Aspen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that echoing Council President Starr in that it would be nice to know what sort of policy or what the full menu of costs are that the Salem Keizer Public Schools is attempting to enter into for if it's 24, 25, or even if it's beyond. Mr. Lindsay, this one's kind of tough, right? Because it's their land on so much. So I get the sense that we're a little bit hamstrung from a full legal picture as to what we could do with even with this agreement into place, and given how it's been struck by the informality of rolling over, where once upon a time 20 years ago these were probably better relationships than they are right now. It's a little bit contentious, and I frankly share in some of that contention. I really question Salem Keizer Public Schools stewardship at this point. That having been said, there may be a solution around a model that does currently exist in the city with Clear Lake Elementary, which is a big school with a large field adjacent to an undeveloped plot of land that is owned by the city. There may be a broader conversation and negotiation to occur there. Now, that's putting the cart way before the horse. We probably need to make sure that whether or not the fields are watered and what they may or may not cost. But potentially that's a point of negotiation with the school district where we could come up with some creative solutions and preserve playing fields for the future.
Councilor Duran.
Just one, I'd like to know if they're not gonna accept our terms, are they gonna pay for water? Are they still gonna water? I would assume they're gonna have to pay for some because they need to have, like you said, a product to charge for. Nobody's gonna pay for dead grass soccer fields that would just get torn up. So if there's still gonna be, if there's still gonna be water and if we're gonna charge them, I'd like to know that and make sure that we understand what the realities are gonna be if they're not gonna accept our terms and they wanna still use the fields. If they're gonna pay us for the water, then let's let them pay us and come up with some other solutions.
Well, and I would add on to that, though, that they would, the level of quality, so they continue to be fully usable. I don't want to lose this facility. We already know we have a shortage of outdoor recreation spaces, especially for soccer. This is an important complex for our kids to use. So want to make sure we don't lose that. Councilor Duran?
And if they're gonna be watering, I'm assuming it could be an issue that they don't wanna pay for the mowing as much. There could be other factors that they're looking at cost-wise that could be, they get all this free water and then they have to mow 3 times a week during the summer because it's to keep it playable. So that would be another issue I'd be concerned. Even if we give them free water, are they gonna be able to afford to maintain at that level?
Madam Mayor.
Have they? Mr. Lindsay?
And this is just my own personal information, where I've experienced school districts, even if one particular school maybe has more means and so they're really good at fundraising, the new sort of equitable arguments say, no, we have to share that across the whole district. And so this might be a similar idea, is that if they're receiving a donation in just one site and then that one site is receiving from that, this kind of the du jour type thinking is that how do you spread that across the whole divide then? Do you lower everybody's rates $5 instead of lowering, $30 at the one site? So that is I've seen that in other school districts. So.
Okay. So we'll look forward to, Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't usually do this, but I don't think about the Google very often in the moment. But I thought about it here, okay? And I found
The Google.
The Google.
You Googled it.
I did.
All right.
School district fee schedules for athletic fields, okay? I can't tell you if these numbers are per use or per hour, because I cannot find it in this documentation, okay? But middle school grass playing field, per field, 24-25 fee schedule, $42. Or excuse me, $20. So back up, $3. This is small print and my finger's in the way. $3 for tier 1, which would include youth sports, okay? I've identified which tier youth sports is. $3 per field. Going to $6 per field, 26. Now, I don't know if that's per hour or per use. Seems awfully, awfully low per use.
Probably per hour.
But even at per hour, we're not talking about big dollars here.
Although it is doubling, I guess.
Well, so from, what did I say?
3 to 6.
3 to 6, or go back again. Yeah, 3 to 6. And the next tier goes from 42 to 50. And again, it doesn't say per hour, it doesn't say per use. It's their legit fee schedule, but it's really unclear as what those numbers pertain to. So just to give you an idea what the increases are, that's it.
All right, thank you very much. So look forward to this coming back to City Council with a proposal and options for us to consider. Okay? Councilor Kohler, last word.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Who is making the decision? Is it the school board or is it an administrator somewhere?
My communication has been with the facilities branch of the school district in the superintendent's office.
And on the decision on whether or not to donate water, the decision is with us. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Let's go on to item 8C, which is a discussion regarding electrical extension for Keizer Fest. And this goes to Mr. Brown.
I have it, Madam Mayor and Council. This is something we've been working on, feels like since last Keizer Fest, but now we're getting down to the wire. And we have a lot
Literally.
of people.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Quite 9, we can't go there yet.
I can't even plan these things out. That was good. We're inside of a month before Keizer Fest. And I know Bill's been working really hard with PGE to make sure they can get their stuff on time. And the volunteers at the Chamber of Commerce have been working to try to arrange for the work to get done. And so what we have is we used our Community Prosperity Initiative or Economic Prosperity Initiative grants of $15,000. We spent about $4,000 to out of last year's fiscal year's funding to buy materials, conduit, stuff like that. And then we were expecting our PG cost to be around $11,000, but they did come in at $9,246. So we have about $1,200 that were in limbo. We don't know if the city or the county will require that back or if they will allow us to use it. So I have a question into them. They may have responded to it, but I haven't been through all of my emails today. So where we're at now is like I said, Mr. Lawyer's working hard with PGE to try to get their work done. And then the Chamber Volunteers have worked to get a lineup contractor, all-terrain underground, to do some boring. The additional cost needed is $8,500 for the boring, $3,800 for the 400 amp meter base breaker panels and twist lock receptacles, and then less than $1,000 for electrical boxes and other expenses. So in total, we're asking for $13,300. And we have a couple different options. We do have the next 3 years grant cycle, which is $60,000, $20,000 a year that we could draw from. However, we do not have the intergovernmental agreement finalized for between Marion County and the city of Keizer. So can't really use that in the time frame that we need to use it. So that's why we're asking for recommending transient occupancy tax funding, of which you heard earlier today that we have some left. What I'm looking for today is authorization for the work to proceed. The council will be granting their consent to use transient occupancy tax to help get the electrical in place, not just for this year, but also if the city council does decide to do something permanent out there, we can extend the electric anywhere on our property to serve a permanent facility. The location is right off of Walsh Way, and that is because if we put it out in the field somewhere, then we would have to provide a road access to it. So by putting it next to Walsh Way, it keeps our costs down. So the request is for $13,300 from transient occupancy tax. If, with the council's permission to move forward, we can make sure that work gets done, and then Mr. Ward can bring that back, the budget adjustment back to you in August to tidy it up.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Any questions on the proposal? Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I heard you say this, Mr. Brown, but just to make sure my understanding is correct. We do this project, that opens up future opportunities for us, the city, to do different projects out there at Keizer Rapids. So it's not a one-time use project to where we do it this year and then we're never going to need it again. We're literally laying and investing in infrastructure that could potentially lead to future development or projects out there at Keizer Rapids.
Yes, Council President, you said it better than I could.
Thank
Well
you.
said.
Councilor Duran.
Not only other projects, it can be used by other entities other than Keizer Fest. It'll be power that can be used by anybody. Of course, we'll have to figure out, the city will have to figure out how to charge for it, but it's available. It'll be available, and it's a large power. I mean, it's a lot of power. So there could be large functions going on out there in the future that this could service.
And this would include, if we want to expand food truck paths and so forth, this is sufficient power to allow for those kinds of plug and play drops as we're developing that site, correct?
In that location, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions on this? Council President Starr, I'll put a motion on the table.
Absolutely. I move to authorize staff to move forward with the electrical extension at Keizer Rapids Park for Keizer Fest and direct staff to bring back the appropriation from the transient occupancy tax fund to the next city council meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council authorize staff to move forward with the electrical extension at Keizer Rapids Park for Keizer Fest and direct staff to bring back the appropriation from the transient occupancy tax fund to the next city council meeting. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, that's Reed and Cross. That takes us to item 8D, which is an ordinance amending the Keizer Development Code regarding, I have to read them all, don't I?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Cue the music.
All right, amending Keizer Development Code regarding section 2.102, section 2.103, section 2.104, section 2.105, section 2.107, section 2.108, section 2.109, section 2.110, section .2112, section .2117, section 2.118, section 2.309, section 2.429, section 2.431, section 3.101, section 3.102, section 3.103, section 3.105, section 3.113, section 3.201, section 3.202, section 3.204, section 3.205, and section 3.207, amending ordinance number 98-389. Okay, got through them all.
Thank you for putting that in the record.
There we go. It is now read into the record. You are welcome, and I'll go, Mr. Witham is not here, so this now goes to?
Yeah, I can take it if you want. Okay, so,
Mr. Lindsay.
in Shane's absence, I will try to do my best Shane here. So we did, a planning commission did a public hearing, May 8th, for these, changes to be considered. And they approved it to come to you, for a recommendation unanimously. Then on June 17th, the city council here did a public hearing, so that the public had an opportunity to also, again, make any comments. And you guys unanimously approved to direct staff to prepare an ordinance and the findings. And this ordinance, which I'm sorry for the lengthy amount of numbers in it, really does, it changes our code in kind of three particular ways, but it changes all these codes because all these codes touched on that a little bit. And the gist of it is that the Planning Commission has decided, instead of staff being the decision maker in the world of conditional use permits and variances, they wouldn't mind having a greater role in deciding those things. And mostly because it opens it up for the public to come in and interact and have comments. And so instead of just it being a staff decision that people find out about later, I think the Planning Commission was thinking, and this was some of the opinion that they had, was that it actually gave another bit of the public, showcase that people can come in and interact, they can hear from people. And these are instances in our code where conditions are being put on permits. So those, they thought it was important to have, and I believe you guys thought it was important to have, people be able to come in and have a say if you're conditioning permits, and as well as if you're slightly varying from what the code says. And so that's what this ask is for. I believe at the time when it went in front of the Planning Commission, I think the last few years it's been about half a dozen of these. So it's meaning that they're gonna have probably a half a dozen more meetings on these sorts of things, or I should say hearings during meetings, because they'll have the same amount of meetings. And then the other one is they opted to hear master plan amendments. And those are pretty rare, but we might have them coming up for, say, I believe it's Area D in our Keizer station. So that is appropriate as well. And then one of the pieces that they wanted to clean up was finding parity in the amount of setback because of our arterials and collector streets under our code were treated differently than a lot of our other streets. In fact, all of our other streets, including our main streets that have like commercial overlays, they all are at 10 feet setbacks. And so arterials and collectors, for reasons that the code was just inconsistent, had demanded 20 feet setbacks. So this also changes that so that everybody's given the same level playing field in terms of setback, which is 10 feet instead of 20 for collectors and arterials. So those are the big changes that we're asking you to look at. When you look at the ordinance, it has a Exhibit A attached, and that has the findings. And so the findings really apply towards whether or not this is, necessary and or convenient and appropriate, and that whether it meets the goals, the statewide planning goals. And so all of these findings find that it does. And so with that, we would ask that you move to pass this ordinance so that we can have these changes and our planning commission can start to interact with the people more.
All right. Thank you very much. Questions on the staff report or ordinance? All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Council President Starr, does she have to read the whole thing in?
You can just say with noted section changes.
You're welcome.
Woo-hoo.
Because it is in the record.
Go buy a lottery ticket. Okay, my lucky day. I move the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2024, amending Keizer Development Code as noted.
Second.
The Keizer City Council,
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Can I make a friendly amendment to my own motion? Because I think I forgot to say amending the ordinance 98389.
there we go. And now,
I agree.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2024, amending Keizer Development Code sections as noted and amending ordinance 98-389. I'm glad I don't have to read that all the way through again either. Discussion. Only one comment, and that is thank you to the Planning Commission, the planning staff, and our staff for putting this together and bringing it to us. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, read and cross. That takes us to the consent calendar. Council President Starr, please, what are the items on tonight's consent calendar?
Yes. Consent calendar for tonight reads, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Valley Pacific Construction, Inc. for Lock Haven Drive, RRFB at McClure. Item B, approval of June 17th, 2024 regular session minutes. And item C, approval of July 1, 2024 regular session minutes.
Second.
I was going to ask if there are any polls. And just for the record, RRFB is
Rectangular rapid flashing beacon.
Woo! The acronym prize goes to Council President Starr. Are there any polls? There are none. Council President Starr.
I move that the consent calendar be adopted or approved as read.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, read and cross. Other business, this time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Council President Starr, you have the first item for other business.
I do. The first item for discussion tonight would be the Gold Star Monument at Ryan J. Hill Park, and I have a motion when we're ready.
All right, would you go ahead and put a motion? Oh, we need to suspend the rules, take up the matter. So I need a motion to suspend the rules to take up the matter of the location for the Gold Star Memorial at Ryan J. Hill Park.
I so move to suspend the rules.
And I second that.
Motion to suspend the rules to take up the matter has been made and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. No objection. Motion passes unanimously, 2 absent. Council President Starr, would you like to put the motion on the table?
Absolutely. I move that the council accept the recommendation of the Parks Advisory Board in citing a Gold Star Memorial at Ryan J. Hill Memorial Park.
Second.
Okay,
Oh,
the
sorry.
language,
Yes,
thank you.
read that.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council accept the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board in citing a Gold Star Memorial at Ryan J. Hill Memorial Park. Discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, read and cross. Thank you very much. Looking forward to that moving forward. There was another item
Wallace
for,
House poster. Do we need to suspend the rules again?
yes, we'll need to suspend the rules, take up the matter regarding the, if we want to take up the issue of the Wallace House poster.
I move to suspend the rules to take up the matter of the Wallace House poster.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules, take up the matter regarding the Wallace House poster. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. No objection. Motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, read and cross. Did you have a motion you want to put on the table regarding this?
Sure. I move the Keizer City Council directs staff to bring a report back to council regarding the disposition of the Wallace House poster.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Keizer City Council direct staff to come back with a, thank you, staff report regarding the disposition of the Wallace House poster. Discussion. Thank you for how you worded that, Council President Starr, because it was not in this request. It was not referenced that this was a Keizer Points of Interest project, a KPIC project, so that it'd be nice to know where this came from and the history behind it, and have that all before us before we make a decision. This is an important part of Keizer's history and the work that was done by that wonderful committee. So thank you for that. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection. Motion passes unanimously with 2 absent. Reed and Cross. So thank you for that. Do we want to take up the funding request to direct staff on this issue?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to discuss the funding request for, I think it's the Keizer Heritage Museum, but it's signed by the Keizer Heritage Foundation, so we'll go.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Keizer City Council suspend the rules to take up the matter regarding the funding request from the Keizer Heritage Museum.
Oh, I guess this is the one. Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously with 2 absent to suspend the rules.
Do we need a motion before we can discuss?
Not necessarily, unless you already have a good idea of what to put on the table to start the conversation.
No, I just want to make sure I understand dollars and cents, Mr. Wood. So what do we have in contingency?
Madam Mayor, City Council, in the transient occupancy tax area of the general fund, we have approximately 75,000 in contingency.
Great, thank you. Follow up.
Follow up.
Less the pending money that we're holding for the chamber ask, less the money we think we know how much it's going to cost, but we could have cost overruns for the electrical project that we just approved, yes?
You're correct.
So rough math, which this is why I asked for dollars and cents, maybe about 10,000 in contingency?
I'm not privy to the conversation on the chamber, so I'm not sure exactly.
Well, they
where
asked for
that's at.
50,000.
So,
That's
okay.
the budget request that we have pended.
Right.
So, I don't know. Could be more, could be less, could be,
Around 12,000.
yeah. So 12,000.
So there is some funds to work through. The question for council is, if we want to start using these funds toward the development of the Keizer Heritage Museum, in lieu of their, annual allocations on a timeline for some events they are doing. I guess my question is, I've got several questions. I just felt like this was, oh, by the way, here this is, we are on a tight timeline that we have created, and we need to know right away, without being able to take some time to really understand some of the other allocations that we may be able to use these funds for in this particular fiscal year. And TOT is also a projection. So what we have budgeted for is based on our projection of what we believe will be coming in from our hotels. I believe they're going to be very successful this year, but it is an estimate. So I'm a little concerned about getting that close to the bottom line of that particular funding stream until we know more. So I'm a little bit hesitant here. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I made some notes during the presentation, and I drew a line after items 1 and 2. Because I believe Ms. Christopher stated that there was funding coming in January. So I drew a line under number 2 because those, I think, were the most critical. I mean, we're getting the socks. I guess we have to display that. I know, can somebody get that on a t-shirt for me, please? We're getting the socks. Like, I never thought I would say that, but we're getting the socks.
The socks.
The socks.
100-year-olds.
100-year-old socks. The question I have, having been in nonprofit before, I do question why we need both trifold pamphlets and rack cards. Why both of them? I know that you can get more information in a trifold pamphlet, but so maybe one and not the other. So I think I understood we had 2 weeks. So I think I would like and appreciate getting more information on this request about if there's just understanding why we need both pamphlets and rack cards. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know what else we do about the socks. You can put that on the back of the t-shirt.
Other, Councilor Husband?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To anyone on city staff who wishes to take this, where do we stand with respect to the chamber and their pending budget request?
Well, we have, myself, Mayor Clark, and Councilor Duran have had 2 meetings with the chamber.
Councilor Cross?
Within about 45 days of the budget hearing since June. And we're putting together a draft of the agreement to the end. I believe if I'm scanning my email there, we scheduled another work group for our city side, or we're looking at dates for that. So it's going on as directed by the council in the June public hearing.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Brown. A question that comes to my mind, Madam Mayor, is whether or not we're playing a zero-sum game with this money and money currently bucketed in the back of our minds for the chamber, or whether there truly is enough to have both and sustain the contingency effectively. I don't have a strong answer to that, but I'd love to hear opinions.
That's kind of how I was feeling about it, was there's just too many unknowns, and this came out of left field. I appreciate the thought that went into putting this together. I appreciate the thought of how we can break this down. Understanding that finishing the Thomas Duff Keizer display will allow for the socks, and I'm remembering an old statement of we can't get socks and underwear in Keizer. Well, apparently you can get them now. 100-year-old even. I'm just wondering about other funding streams that the Heritage Museum has, that they've been working on. I know they've done a tremendous job with grants and other requests and so forth. I just have not been privy to those conversations about what other resources they are also looking at for this project. I just don't know. Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that's where I come back to, I have thoughts, some I will not say about, but I do think that we need to take advantage of having staff ask some deeper questions and get some more detailed questions, and have this on the agenda for next meeting. And then maybe I would be happy to have a conversation with City Manager Brown about what further information is needed and timeline projections for the completion of the chamber proposal. That's frankly been going on since it was due at the end of April, and we still don't have an agreement for money that was requested. So I want to be supportive of that, but we're also kind of not able to make decisions on other things because we still don't have an agreement done yet. So May, June, we're ending 3 months working on that, that budget ask from the chamber from when it was due at the end of April. So, I want to be able to make a decision on this, but I feel like we can't because we don't know what's going on with the chamber ask. So I personally would like to have more, have some questions about, as I said, the rec cards versus the trifold pamphlets. Do we really need both? That should reduce that, and have maybe some additional conversations for other sources of money that we can help bring the socks home.
Thank you. I'm going to go Counselor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Wood, what is your opinion budget-wise on this? Do you have a feeling on where we're sitting, if this is a safe or smart thing to do? You're our money man.
Well, within the transient occupancy tax fund, we are getting close to using the entire contingency that we have left. So, yeah, it is pushing it pretty tight. If anything goes sideways with either one of the hotels, we could have some upside down problems.
So, good. What I would, I appreciate, while there is a timeline that was given to us in the proposal that is based on that organization's plans for events, I believe that in order for us to do our due diligence, we need to have staff come back with recommendation on what this would look like in the different funding various options with this funding request, and I'd also like to have staff follow up with the Heritage Museum and the Heritage Foundation on what their other funding streams look like for being able to finish this project in a reasonable timeline. It sounds like the most time-sensitive in terms of being able to use this opportunity with the socks is that one, and the rest of them feel like more like-tos that would be auxiliary to that, and also completion of their larger project, which, as was stated, was 12 to 18 months. So that may have less of an urgency, at least in my opinion, and would like to be more judicious about looking at this ongoing ask from the Heritage to the city. Do you need?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Of course.
So I'm not trying to be obtuse about this, but so the Wallace House poster request came in under the Heritage Foundation. So, but then it closes out talking about, so the contact information is Keizer Heritage Foundation, but they want it to go to the Keizer Heritage Museum.
Correct.
So if they're both 501c3s, who's the real owner gonna be? Because it came in under,
They're one and the same.
are they not two different 501s? So, okay.
No,
Just making sure.
as I recall, the Keizer Heritage Foundation is the 501c3 that owns the building. The Heritage Museum is part of that.
Okay,
And
so
I
they
do
are
not
one and
believe
the
that they are
same.
separate 501c3.
Can we confirm that and get clarity on that? Because then this ask for the money is for the museum, but if they're one and the same, what do we give? So who do we give the half of the operating to?
The Keizer Heritage Foundation.
So this is an additional.
It would be,
Okay.
it would be in addition to what is allocated to them, but for a different purpose. It would be
Got it.
earmarked
Okay.
separately.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that, because that's a little misleading in these two different documents. Okay.
Appreciate the clarification. Counselor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My gut feeling is to
is to move ahead with the 2735 and get the display for the socks that have generated so much great publicity lately for us, and then get more information on the other ones.
Did you want to put a motion on the table, or is that a recommendation to come back in the staff report, one of the proposals for the August meeting?
I move that we approve the 2735 and recommend the staff put something together, more information for the other items.
I'll second that. Bring home the socks.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council allocate $2,735 for the Keizer Heritage Foundation Museum request for the Thomas Dove Keizer Interactive Display, and direct staff to come back with additional information on the other funding requests. Does that properly state that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passed unanimously with 2 absent. Okay. All about them socks. All right. Let's go to, is there any other business from city staff this evening?
Madam Mayor and Council, I have no other business.
Okay. Let's then go up to staff updates. Mr. Brown?
I cannot resist saying those are the Chicago-style socks, not the Boston.
It's after 9. Let it rip.
All right. Fantastic.
The staff interviewed the applicants for the management of the turf fields, and I expect that a notice of intent to award will go out in the next 2 days. If the council has some objectives that they want to make sure talk about when we negotiate with the party that we are noticing this intent to, then I would say please email those ideas to Mr. Lawyer because he'll be working on that negotiation. So again, if you have objectives that you want to see in that agreement with the entity that will manage our turf fields, send those thoughts to Mr. Lawyer.
If I may, would you send us a copy of the request for a proposal so we know what the proposer had to cover, so we don't copy or repeat what was already in there?
I can do that.
Okay, thank you. That will help us.
And after the notice of intent is awarded, then it no longer is confidential, so you could also see the proposal itself, which might also say what's covered.
That would be great.
That'd be good.
We'd love to see that. I just didn't know if it was the right time. So thank you for that. So yes, the RFP itself, the request for proposals, and the winning proposal. And then comments to Mr. Lawyer, do not copy all. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Mr. Wood?
I have nothing additional, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bissett?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. There's 2 things for you tonight. We will see you hopefully on Saturday at 2 different events. The Keizer Elks Community Connect event. We've given out some burgers and raffle prizes, and also a drug turn-in event. So it's open to the community. Hoping to get a bunch of people there. We're gonna have mental health and also addiction services present at that event. So Sergeant DeMarco had that up for us, and we'll be there. And then also we're going to the, I guess it's a classic car show at St. Edward's this Saturday around noon. So we're gonna be doing both of those things this week. And then this Friday as well, the Family Fun Night. So we are gonna rock that place. It's gonna be awesome.
Fantastic.
That was 3, sorry, I said 2. 3 things, I'm done.
That's okay. We'll give you an extra one, and I'll give you a bonus National Night Out.
Please sign up. The website's up on the link is on the website. So yeah, we had about 30 the last year. It would like to go back to pre-COVID time. We had around 40 to 45.
And one more, I would like to offer kudos for the rapid response to the incident involving Ms. Filardo and the aerogel projectiles.
Yeah, commonly referred to as Orbeez, and yeah, those can hurt up close, that's for sure. And that situation has resolved itself today. So anyways, that was a quick response, and then also some accountability on the other end by the juveniles holding themselves responsible for it and stepping up to the plate. So
Good to hear. Thank you for everybody working so well together to bring this to a quick resolution. Appreciate that. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have something from all 4 of my divisions tonight. From the parks, the pickleball courts project is underway. Contractor did the excavation for the parking lot today. Do a proof roll test tomorrow. They'll be rocking that up and moving on to the courts themselves. From the Stormwater Environmental Division, Trashy Tuesday has been postponed 1 week to next Tuesday because of the weather. We felt going to be almost 100 degrees tomorrow. Not the best idea to have people out picking up trash in that weather, so it's next week. Streets, the rectangular rapid flashing beacon for Lock Haven and McClure was received yesterday, or no, excuse me, Friday. So we have it in hand to give to the contractor. The contractor you awarded tonight to put in and have installed and operational by school starts in September. And then in the water division, the Wrights Well saga continues. We had an electrical component failure up there, and that well's down again. It just never ends. So we're gonna get that replaced, get it back online as quick as we can. But I don't like to share that kind of news, but given the site and given all of the trials and tribulations that we've been through as a city with that site since its inception, it just never stops. That's all I have.
Oh, my God.
Quick. That's really great news on the rapid flashing beacon, so thank you for doing that. You were concerned about being able to get that done before school started, and somehow we knew that you were going to find a way, and you did. All right, now I'm going to leave the other one well enough alone. You're welcome. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. So the one thing I could report is it's not really news, but it's a reminder, which is the original draft or the first draft of the codification process is supposed to come back by the end of July. Haven't heard from them yet, but we expect that that is probably going to be on the way, end of July or shortly thereafter. And so what I would do is start what I will say is probably going to be several times that I speak about this. The process itself will be finding the draft and working through some of the obvious issues. But then along the way, there's going to be other issues, which is, oh my gosh, this is a very old ordinance that I just, found next to a brand new ordinance. What are we going to do about that? So what I'm doing is just putting out that, and you'll hear more about this as this process carries on, but there will be our ordinances for all to see, and what we will be doing as we do this, we're going to make sure to sharpen things up, make things, bring them into this century, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be a process and a labor of love, and we'll do it well, but it might take a little while to work through all of the kinks.
So buckle up, everybody. We got some work to do, but that's what happens when you're, like you said, bringing things into this century.
I have no doubt you'll knock our socks off.
Oh, wow.
Wow, it's catchy.
Okay, quick, council member reports. Councilor Durian.
Most of my meetings were canceled last week since it is summer, but I did go to the Keizer Cultural Center annual celebration. I was there for, about half of it, but had a good time seeing what was going on there. That was a great event.
Yes, it was. All right, thank you very much. Council President Starr.
Had the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting last Tuesday. Yes, last Tuesday. And I would like to just make sure everybody is aware that there is going to be a town hall a Marion County Town Hall on House Bill 4002, which is the fix to, I'm looking at my experts over here to my left, the fix for Senate Bill 110.
Measure
Thank you.
110.
Measure 110. And that's going to be on August 22nd, 2024, from 2 to 5 at the Senator Hearing Room there at the on Court Street at the commissioners, the county offices there. And so I'm going to understand what that will look like, what our county and local response to House Bill 4002 is. And I can tell you based on the presentation on Tuesday, that we are well ahead of the curve in responding to that. So kudos to Chief Copeland and our Keizer Police Department for being part of that work and being part of that, that response. And then also to our leaders at the county, Sheriff Nick Hunter, District Attorney Paige Clarkson, for really leading the charge on that. So that's really going to talk about now how we kind of fix things from 110. So again, and I'm sure that the staff can put that on social media so our community is aware to learn about that, because I think there'll be some really good information. And then just more of a PSA in support of our first responders. I was driving through Keizer and a pretty rapid response coming from the fire district, and people aren't pulling over. So just a reminder to everybody that if you hear or you see sirens, please pull over, whether it's for our police department or our emergency fire and EMS personnel, because if it were your loved one, you'd want people to pull over. So please, just a PSA reminder to pull over. Thank you.
You're here. Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was out of town for most of last week, and it was a real hardship, but I appreciate City Manager Brown attending the Keizer United and the LBA for me this last week, and Mayor Clark attending the Parks Board this week. So I appreciate that. I did attend the CBEL meeting via Zoom, and I tried to attend the Wastewater Management Task Force meeting via Zoom, but that just didn't ever come together. So I'll get together with Mr. Wood and we'll compare what I should have learned there. I listened to the Peer Court work session, which was pretty interesting, and look forward to learning some more about that. And then attended Friday the Keizer Heritage Foundation annual meeting, and that was good. Coming up, tomorrow is the Chamber Board installation. And then on the 24th is the Keizer Community Dinner, hamburgers and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff again. Look forward to that. And then, of course, the 27th, the Convention Center we just talked about, and looking forward to the car clinic coming up. So that's it. So have a safe summer and stay cool.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilor Husband.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Traffic Safety Bikeway Pedestrians Committee meeting this Thursday, 6 p.m. right here in these council chambers. Please dispose of your charcoal briquettes in a safe and responsible manner. That's all we got. Let's bring it home.
All right. Thank you very much. Just a couple of things to add. Okay, let me scroll up to the right place on my screen. There it is. The Council of Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, the Legislative Committee will be putting on our second legislative reception at Temecula at the Ag Center on August 20th. You all have been sent invitations to that. It's a great opportunity to visit with our legislators and legislative candidates about what's important for Keizer. Again, we need to tell our story to all of them so they know what's going on and how to make sure that they are responding to the needs of our community. Let's see, moving down here. Also attended the CBEL, that's the Community Business and Education Leadership Workshop. Thank you to the REC for hosting that. Went to the Marion County Fair kickoff, and I hope folks got down to the Marion County Fair, which concluded yesterday. Wonderful event, once again, really featuring all of the great businesses, our 4-H and FFA students, and so many great vendors that were there at the Marion County Fair. Thank you to our fair board and everybody who helps put that on each year. Today, this afternoon, most of you have now seen the post online that it is confirmed that Burgerville is coming to Keizer. The old Sonic site is one of the 2 Sonic locations that Burgerville has signed a lease with, and they will be turning in their site plans for review with our planning department as soon as they have those ready to go. They're looking at a fall opening. They are hoping for being on time for, I believe it was Rosemary Fries season. So they have their seasons, and it's all about the specialties, and that is the one they're hoping to be ready for. I want to give a shout out to Council President Starr, one of their biggest fans, who made sure that we have been keeping tabs on the developments as Burgerville has been moving toward expansion. And they were excited to meet with us today to get to know Keizer better and how they're going to be a part of our community here at the old Sonic site. So welcome to Burgerville to Keizer. Coming up, we have, tomorrow I received an invitation courtesy of Representative Kevin Mannix to be part of the Joint Legislative Committee on Transportation, the regional meeting in Albany. This is primarily Cascades West, that area commission on transportation, but recognizing that our act was going to be left out and just given a little bit of a virtual treatment in September, I was invited to come and speak and be part of that conversation to represent our Mid-Willamette Valley. So thank you, Representative Mannix, for looking out for the interest of the people here in the Salem-Keizer area. So I will be going to Albany tomorrow for that. There is an open house portion of that in the afternoon. And so I encourage people who can come down or watch online to please do so. On Wednesday, I will be leaving for the Oregon Mayors Association Conference at Klamath Falls and looking forward to getting together with mayors from across the state. And I will be doing a presentation. Thank you, Chief Copeland, for getting me information. There's going to be a panel on citizen academies. And so I have the opportunity to share with other cities what we do here in Keizer with our Police Citizen Academy, Blast Camp, but also what we're doing with other opportunities like Trashy Tuesdays that get people involved in our city, and also talking about our neighborhood associations, what we're doing to continue to improve our outreach and engagement with people across Keizer. So I'm looking forward to being one of the presenters for that. And then I'll be back. And of course, we all have our calendars marked for Keizer Fest and the Riverwalk Art Fair in the second weekend of August. That is all I've got. Okay, let's go then to agenda input. Just running down the list. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I did ask Ms. Bissett to include what's coming up in September so that we have all of these into our calendars. Just read in for August, we have Monday, August 5th, 2024, 5:30, we will have an executive session, and then we'll meet at 7 p.m. in regular session. On Monday, August 12th, we will not have a work session, that is canceled. And then on Monday, August 19th, we will meet at 7 p.m. in regular session. Then we'll be going into September when we will have our first council meeting for September will be on Tuesday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. in regular session. And then the work sessions are listed here for you to mark your calendars for September. We're going to have a busy month. Is there anything else that anyone would like to cover this evening?
Just one.
All right, Councilor Kohler.
On September 7th, a big group is going to get together and do a bunch of work at the Wallace House. So September 7th, put that on your calendar to come to the Wallace House. park, and we'll be doing trail maintenance, moving some big logs off trails, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I've been working with Mr. Johnson on. And look forward to seeing y'all there. So more news on that coming later.
All right. And we'll get all spruced up right before the parks tour, which will be on September 9th. All right, thank you very much. Anything else? All right, the time is 9:42 and we are adjourned.